Woo! Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. When people work with me, they often are going to hear this question asked hundreds of times. Whose voice is that? Now, I'm not saying that we're all hearing voices, okay? But what I am saying and alluding to is oftentimes the context or the narrative that we have about ourselves, the story that we've created about ourselves in certain situations that we've applied meaning to, are created based on a voice from someone else. It could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a friend, it could have literally been the most benign comment given to you by a stranger. Still, nonetheless, it has been something that you've carried with you for a long period of time. You know, we've all had childhoods, okay? And no matter who our parents were, how great our parents were or weren't, how great our upbringing was or weren't, we've all had different experiences in life. We've all actually experienced maybe the same experience, but differently, because no one experience is the same. So through that process creates this voice inside our head that tells us we're not good enough, that tells us that we're not worthy, that tells us that we're not lovable, that tells us that we're never going to be a success in any field that we may participate in. Somewhere along the line, these contexts get pretty much put on us because we believe them. So when I'm coaching people and they bring me, oh, Josh, like, listen, this situation with this person made me feel like I wasn't good enough. And the question is always going to be back, well, is it true that you're not good enough? Logically, people will always answer that question no, because they know that's the right answer, but they don't always embody it. And the reason why they don't embody it is because some part of them believes it. Because some part of them has been told that they're not good enough. Maybe not in that words, maybe not in that phrase, but someone has alluded something. Something has been said to them by someone else or some event that has created this contextual narrative and story that we've generated about ourselves. If you really think to yourself and you're really honest with yourself and you do enough deep diving, enough awareness seeking in yourself, you'd be able to admit that there's certain narratives that you have about yourself that when you enter into certain scenarios, they get brought up. Maybe not brought up in conversation, but brought up in your head. So whose voice is that? Now, it can be confusing at first when I ask this question because it's automatically you want to think, well, am I hearing voices, Josh? Am I hearing voices, Buff? Well, the answer to that is hopefully no. But in all actuality, yes. Someone's voice is telling you that you're not good enough. There are two very impactful people, negatively impactful people, in my life experience of almost 41 years on this planet. They both hold very similar personality characteristics to each other. And they both try to destroy my own self-esteem. For whatever reason that was. Probably because they didn't feel good about themselves. And I happened to be the person in front of them. Now, if I look back on it, hindsight being 2020, I'm thankful for both of them being in my life at the capacity that they were, because I wouldn't got to this journey or this place in life without them, because I had to go through it. But when you're in it, and people are telling you that you're no good, that people are telling you that you're one-dimensional, if people are telling you that you're never going to amount to anything, that's hard to process through, particularly if you're a young person. So fast forward some time, being able to look back and say, okay, when this voice in my head starts to come and says, hey, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you can't do that, I can identify what that is, what that means. I can get present in the moment and understand that what I'm hearing and feeling isn't the truth. This is the process that I go through with clients, because we identify very quickly what is the narrative, what is the story that you say about yourself. How true is that story? It's not that you're lying to yourself, but it's that you believe a lie about yourself. Because it is not true that you're not good enough. It is not true that you're not worthy. It's not true that you're not lovable. None of these things are true, but yet a lot of people live their whole life believing it. Consuming things to make themselves feel better for believing it. Getting in relationships with people that validate that very feeling. And that's why we live in such a chaotic relationship world, is because we're hopping from thing to thing to thing to validate this feeling that we have in ourselves, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. That's the benefit of the work that I do. To be able to take that, recognize it, be aware about it, acknowledge it, accept it for what it is, and then take action against it to create a new narrative about who we truly are, who we really are at our core. Not all of these external bullshit that we carry around and wear like a badge of honor. If this interests you, if this is something that's for you, please, by all means, I would love to hear from you, to message me, because here's the deal. You got to message me first. And the reason for that is this. I believe all things happen for a reason. So if you've gotten to the point here at 6:53, 6 minutes, 53 seconds in this video, you've listened long enough to know what I'm about. And if it's something that really interests you and calls to you and speaks to you, you'll make that move. We'll have a conversation, and then we'll dive deep into what's going on and what your biggest challenge is right now, and be able to dissolve this context that you have about yourself so that you create peace and freedom within yourself. The idea is not to need me. That's the idea. If this interests you, again, message me directly. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, if this is something for somebody else, please share it with somebody that you feel this would resonate with.